Welcome to Mistlewood. Set in the fabulous surroundings of Mistlewood, an old French-style manor, La Chanterelle gives you unrivaled views of the Atlantic Ocean and an excellent service performed by the students of our School of Hospitality Management. La Chanterelle Restaurant is our non-traditional classroom where students acquire skills fundamental to the hospitality industry in classes such as service management, culinary arts operations, and events management. The small class sizes, 4-to-1 student-teacher ratio, combined with the international hospitality experience of our professors and assistant teachers, provides a unique experience for the students. Hi, my name is Marie Aja, and I'm a junior hospitality major at Endicott College. The culinary and service management classes work at the La Chanterelle restaurant every Thursday night. Our culinary class is split into two groups that work from either 3 to 6 p.m. or 6 to 9 p.m., and we alternate shifts each week. 3 to 6 group prepares the food, and then the 6 to 9 group picks up where they left off, and then plates the food for the guests when they arrive. We have our necktie, chef hat, our chef pants, and our chef jacket, and we're required to wear all these things when we go to class. So I usually start out by putting on my white t-shirt, and then I put on my white chef jacket over it. We're required to have our hair up if it's long for class, and we're also required to have closed-toed shoes. Any shoe with a good grip is good for this class because the floors get really slippery when they're wet, so it's important to have a shoe that will grip the ground so you won't slip. And I put on my necktie then. The necktie is kind of complicated to tie, so usually I use this YouTube video that shows me how to do it, but I think I can do it now without the video. So sometimes when I get to class, a lot of people have had trouble with it too, so we'll help each other adjust them if needed. Okay, and that should be fine right there. And then lastly, I have my chef hat, but normally I just carry it to class and then I just put it on when I get there. So at this point, I'm all ready to go to class. I just need my binder and any homework that's due that day, and then I walk maybe about 15 minutes to class, and I usually try to get there early. And we head upstairs to the changing room where we kind of make last minute preparations before we start class, and then we're ready to go. Hi, Steph. I'm going to culinary.
Bye. Have fun.
Thanks. My heart always starts to beat fast when I am walking to culinary. It is a fun class, but it is also nerve-wracking at times. How are you? Good. How are you? Hi, Pastor Kernan. Good. Brendan Cronin and Tanya are our culinary professors. Professor Corneliuson, Micah, Henrik, and Steffi work with the service class. Larissa is our hardworking dishwasher. So this is the room where we put all of our stuff before class, and usually we're all up here right before class putting our stuff away and chatting, like if we have a test we're studying last minute. And we just put our stuff in these lockers. Usually all I bring down with me is a pen, and then I have an assignment due, so I'll bring that with me too. That's about it. And then we head downstairs and start class. Well, don't even have my hat. Where's my hat?
Uh-oh. Marie fails for the day.
I failed.
Got it
Where's
up
my
there?
hat?
Did you put it on the shelf?
Yeah, probably.
Yes,
Well,
she did. That
she
is my hat.
I realized that I don't have my chef hat. I must have left it on my bed.
Wait, like underneath my head.
I don't think that.
Can I borrow it? I might
Sure,
left one in my
sure.
room. Luckily, Professor Cronin says that I can borrow one.
Mine's sticking out a little bit.
Then Tanya arrives with our fresh aprons and side towels. Tanya arrives to hand back the tests we took last week. I always get really nervous about tests. Thank you.
Yep.
But there was no reason to worry. My grade turned out fine. My friend Brittany and I talk about our answers, but we don't ask each other about our grades. It is kind of an unwritten rule. But wouldn't have had to say like, oh, roast means it's can't you have raw roast beef though, like on a sandwich? There is some debate over a question on the test.
Beef before it's just beef, like in a roast beef. Maybe use a red beef.
I wrote blue at first.
Professor Cronin gives us a pep talk before class begins.
All that you have picked up over the last 7 weeks, we expect you all the time to kick it in now. You can't find a chopping board, well, just go to the sink, rinse one out and bring it back. You know, it's not, that's the kind of thinking. Right. So, let's get down to business tonight. Who would like to do the escargot?
You can feel the tension in the air when no one volunteers to be in charge of the escargot.
Don't move anymore.
It is a very popular menu item, but many students, including myself, are hesitant to work with it. I get put in charge of the sauces. Tonight we have 4 sauces tonight.
Well, then you can't do it again. Do the escargot. Right.
We disperse to put together our assigned dish. So when we want to taste something in the kitchen, we get out these spoons out of these containers right here, and then when we're done, we put them in the dirty container. So I'm gonna taste this fig sauce for the amuse-bouche.
Take the whole tray out. Take the whole tray out.
It's good, it's really sweet. So this is for the amuse-bouche tonight, so I'm going to put it in a smaller container and put it in the fridge and then wash out this dish. The storage room is bustling, so I have to wait my turn.
Then we'll marinate them with garlic, with our own house seasoning, which is here, and a little bit of olive oil. We'll leave those in the fridge. They'll be cooked a la minute tonight. A la minute meaning to order, last minute. And we're going to make...
Tanya is in charge of breads and pastry. She shows the girls how to make the cheese sticks for the bread basket.
Okay, open up the piece on the tray, and then just flip it so all the chicken lands on.
So in a minute I'm going to cut these shallots, but I don't know what to do yet, so I have to wait for Professor Cronin to come over here and explain how to do it. That's one of the struggles with having 1 or 2 teachers with so many students, but it's not a big deal. We just wait, and when he's ready, he'll come over and show me how to cut them.
Alright, so we're just going to chop them in the machine, but in order to chop them in the machine, you want to cut them into chunks.
Meanwhile, Brittany begins scaling the red snapper. Kendra stuffs the escargot shells, and Anthony cuts the duck meat.
So we've got a vegetarian made a reservation tonight, and it's great to see people telling us ahead what they'd like to eat. And this guest requested some tofu, grilled tofu. So I have tofu steaks here. We've marinated them. And tofu is essentially just a bean curd made from the soybean. And we've seasoned it with our signature seasoning, which you can see here, both sides. So that'll marinate until tonight. And I'm going to serve that with a cashew cream sauce. and we've told the students in the dining room to tell the guests. So it's a cashew cream sauce, non-dairy, very important for vegetarians that do not consume dairy. And essentially what we will do is take these cashews, they've been soaking overnight, and I am going to puree them in a very high-powered blender, and it turns in literally into a cream, resembling very, very close dairy cream. Can be whipped into a cream almost decorated on desserts, but I'm going to make a hot sauce, hot as in temperature, not as in spicy. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the guests will think of that tonight. The guest has told us ahead of time, don't worry about me, just give me some of the pasta without the shrimp and some vegetables. And I feel that a lot of vegetarians get shortchanged in that deal because they go to restaurants and they're not willing to make a scene, or they don't want to stand out. And as chefs in the restaurants, we educate the students to take care of this, what I would call a tremendous emerging market of people with specific or just general nutrition needs in the dining room. So there you go. And it's just like cream, just like dairy cream. Makes a beautiful sauce, and I'm going to flavor that tonight with cilantro and lime, and perhaps a little garlic and a touch of cayenne to give it a little kick. And we're very interested to hear what the guest says about that, because they're getting a sauce that looks exactly like a cream sauce, but it is total vegetarian.
I've begun to prepare the sauces for the night. They all have shallots and wine as a base. 2 of them have white wine and 2 have red wine. I will allow the wine to reduce over the next hour or so. While the kitchen is hard at work to prepare the food, the service class is setting up the tables before the guests arrive.
Part of what we do at the school with the class is we have to monitor where we're at any given time. We call this a timeline. We use this also in many of our different classes. And in order for the students to achieve what they achieve, they need to be at a particular place in a particular time. It's now 4 o'clock, and certain things have to be ready at 4 o'clock. If they're not, we know that we're behind time. For example, the duck is ready to be smoked. The shrimp is already peeled. It's ready to be marinated. Breadsticks have been rolled and are ready to be baked. Bread is in the prover, it's ready to be proved. So all of these things, if that is now half an hour late, we know that at 7 o'clock tonight, we're not going to be ready for our guests. So we got to keep to our timeline. Customers go crazy for that flavor because it's a very, very popular flavor.
So typically when we're working with food that's not going to be cooked again, we use gloves, and these mushrooms are going to be sauteed for a sauce, but I'm going to wear gloves anyways just to be extra safe. And I'm going to wash the mushrooms in this to get rid of the sand that are on them.
I mean, it's like, I don't know.
So here it is. All right, so now we put that inside, right? And then and it's stuffed, see? Stuffing's already inside. All right.
My sauces continue to reduce, and I chop the mushrooms for one of the sauces. The pastry team starts to prepare the tiramisu.
So we're smoking these with some apple wood. I put it in the smoker here, and I'm going to put this fat side down. All right, so we're going to lay them down in here nicely. This one. Now what happens is the electrical unit inside is going to heat up the wood. The wood is going to smolder. You don't want flame in here. You don't want heat. This is cold smoking. The duck won't be cooked when it comes out of here. It'll have smoke flavor. We'll cook it afterwards. On the salad there's a prosciutto chip. So if you want to get large sheet pan with parchment paper, I'll show you how to lay these out. And one can go in this.
I am vegetarian, so working with meat is a whole new concept for me.
They're already very, very low temperature, and it's going to dry it out. It'll look like crispy bacon afterwards.
How we cut the dough?
Yeah, I did it.
The baking and pastry team made the bread, and now they're going to cut them into rolls using the stick.
Work over here. You fold the outside here. This side of your hand is going to stay on the table at all times. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll it towards you. Can you see how that's being sealed? Just like that. You turn it. You want to do the other side as well. Just turn it all the time. So basically what you're doing is you're rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. But the technique behind it is like that, so that you seal all sides.
So the best thing to do is just push the pepper inside. Just push the top in like that. Right? Now you cut it in half. That's the only part that you throw away.
See how this is being sealed?
Yeah.
And then you want to
So that would be nice on the plate. And what we do now is put that in cold water. It'll be perfect tonight. Now we just take it, put it on top of the dish, and it goes out. We want to have a look at how our ducks are doing. See? They're absorbing all that smoke flavor, and there's no heat. The container is not hot all the way down. It's cold smoking. Very different to hot smoking. Hot smoking cooks the food at the same time as it's been smoked. Cold smoking does not.
The dining room is starting to come together.
We want to organize this from light to heavy. So which one is the lightest one?
Henrik coaches the students on the wine for the night. These students will serve the guests wine during the cocktail hour before they are seated for dinner.
Malbec is the second lightest one we have. Cabernet Sauvignon, exactly. Which one is that? Joseph Carr, very good, very good.
Back in the kitchen, the baking team is starting to dip the rolls in the sesame seeds and poppy seeds. Tanya then puts the rolls in the proofer at 100 degrees. This is the perfect temperature for the yeast to work.
It's the world's most expensive spice. Costs a lot of money per pound. And the reason why is that it's harvested by hand. So if you look at, give me your hand for a minute. Now you see all those tiny filaments? They are all the stigmas of the crocus flower.
Oh, okay.
Each one. Every crocus flower has 3. You can imagine how many flowers are in here. They're all picked by hand, so that's why it's so expensive. So we're going to put in a little bit of saffron here for the saffron cream sauce tonight.
Pretty well reduced.
See how it's reduced?
Yeah.
Now can you smell that?
Yeah.
Much more concentrated than it
Yeah.
was an hour ago.
Strong.
That's where the flavor is.
Okay.
It's because of that tonight the customer will tell you the sauce was lovely. And it's not to be facetious, but I know what the customer will say tonight for the flavor of the sauce. Only because we're creating the flavor now. You can't create the flavor tonight at 7 o'clock when it's going out to the flavor now at 4:30 in the afternoon. Customers still at their desk. Not even here. See that color?
Yeah, that's so cool.
Is it like a sunset?
Yeah, it looks pretty.
Right? So it looks beautiful. If you swirl it, look at, see those colors?
Yeah.
See that? It just transforms into a beautiful color. Look at the duck, smoking nicely, getting a little bit of smoke flavor, and got more underneath.
This is the shrimp stock that will be added to a few of the sauces. So this is where we post the menu, so we can all look here to see where we are and what we still have to do during the night. And then these are all the servers and what tables they have. And then these are our guests, and we'll put any relevant notes here, like if they're a parent or if it's a birthday. And tonight we have the Dean of Hospitality Management at Endicott coming, so we can kind of see if there's any special occasions to give those guests special treatment.
So here we are, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Many things have been done since we last spoke. The duck has been smoked, the snapper has been marinated, all our 4 sauces are on their way, partially completed, some completed. Our leeks have been chopped, potatoes have been marinated and roasted for our roast potatoes, and we're looking also at our endives with lemon. So all of these things are ready at 5, and I know, and the class knows, that now we're on track to be everything completed at 6 o'clock when we do the switchover. Alright, now we're going to add a little bit of shrimp stock. Because this is for fish, I'll add a little bit as well. They're both for fish. Serving with the snapper. And then they'll both be blended in a very high-powered blender. It's going to extract even more flavor out of the shallots. Rather than strain the shallots out and throw them away, we're going to blend them into the sauce.
So now we're melting butter, and then we're going to saute the porcini mushrooms in here. After I saute the mushrooms with the butter, I taste the mixture. It is delicious. We burnt one of the plates of prosciutto. This is the one that's done, and this one's fine, but we burned the other one, so I'm gonna make a new one.
Roasted red peppers, lemon juice, mayo, sour cream, salt and pepper, and
smoke. So there's
Smoke.
red pepper. Right? You see the color? You see the taste, right?
really orange.
It looks great.
It's going to be on the salad.
On the salad. Yeah. Why is it coming out?
Meanwhile, there are some mishaps over in the pastry department.
That's so old.
But they clean it up and move on. There is no time to waste.
This is our hot seasoning. Right, so you stir that in. Right.
Anthony is now sauteing the peppers that he cut up earlier. I put the cooked prosciutto on the table for the salad.
Got our porcini sauce finished. Blackcurrant sauce almost there. We got our basil sauce. I'm going to blend that in a few minutes. And we've got our saffron sauce for the snapper. So if you rinse out the Vitamix jug, we can start blending those.
Okay.
Alright? Keep the water in a pan, on a hot pan, you're going to get fire. Like that.
Anthony notes Professor Cronin's techniques, and he's able to create fire himself. Brittany begins chopping the potatoes. Afterwards, Abigail and Kim put the potatoes in the oven to bake. The baking and pastry team start to create the magnardise. The magnardise is a treat that is given with the check. It is compliments of the chef. Half of these treats will be chopped up and crumbled into the tiramisu.
It's really easy to split.
We begin juicing lemons for the lemon end bags. This bread will lie on top of the salad. It will be covered with a creamy goat cheese spread. The baking team assembles the bread basket.
How's that?
I break down the pasta boxes to put into the recycling. Tanya takes the magnardise out of the oven. Next, she takes the rolls out of the proofer and puts them in the oven.
Okay, then.
The rolls are out of the oven and they are added to the bread basket. At this point, we are all standing around because the next class will arrive in 5 to 10 minutes. When the next class arrives, we will brief them on the progress of the dishes.
So here we are at 6 o'clock, we're halfway through the evening. The first section of the class is wrapping it up, they're going home. Second section is coming in, and there has to be a switch over. We want to simulate the industry. When people leave a shift, they communicate with the person taking over their shift. That's what the students behind me are actually doing. Looks like organized chaos. They're actually communicating among one another what they have prepared, what needs to be done. For example, the duck is ready to go in the oven as soon as the customers arrive. The snapper needs to be pan-fried. The potatoes are roasted. The sauces are all complete. The pasta is pre-cooked. Shrimp are ready to be sauteed. Everything is still in its raw state, but it is in various stages of preparation. That's what they're communicating to each other behind me at the moment. And then the first half of the class will leave, and the second half take over and run the show.
And so we can kind of tell you what we did. I made the sauces, and there's four different sauces. They all had red wine or white wine as their base and shallots, and they're all lined up right here for you.
I did the escargot and it's in the fridge. You use the top one first. It has plastic wrap and the bottom doesn't, and then you just wash it.
Okay, we did shrimp and it's marinated in the fridge in a big bowl. It's already marinated. There's gonna be, you guys have to the pasta with already made. That's all we did.
That's the idea behind the dessert. It's forbidden because
My class is over, and the 6 to 9 class begins. Tanya briefs the new baking and pastry team.
I found the recipe though. No, that's the recipe made it with peaches.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Take it out, get yourself a strong, heavy-duty frying pan, some olive oil, real hot pan, fry it skin side down first, golden brown, and it's still raw in the middle. We're
I'm gonna say Ariel fire starters on table 10. That's what you're gonna do.
Ariel is going to be the expediter for the night. She has a big task ahead of her. She will be the gateway between the kitchen and the service class. Micah goes over her duties for the night.
The way you're organizing your tickets.
Exactly. 15. Exactly. But let's make.
The 3 to 6 class prepared the tiramisu, and the 6 to 9 class will prepare the forbidden fruit dessert.
I get this. Sorry.
Cassie begins to grill the chicken.
All right, now, get it down really, really hot. Put them on 4 pieces, put them up.
Sides turning brown. We're gonna put our sugar from the outside.
All of the garnishes are ready to be plated. Out in the dining room, the tables are ready for the guests. This sign reminds the service students to smile when they are in the dining room. The first guests arrive and Micah interacts with them.
All day, every day.
Back in the kitchen, the chefs are hard at work. The center of the plums are hollowed out for the forbidden fruit dessert. The guests have been seated and the first table has placed their order. Micah will keep track of the orders on the computer. Ariel begins to keep track of the orders and will relay them to the kitchen.
So now I need 3 escargot and...
Yeah, you got it. You gotta move.
No, yeah, I need 3 escargot and 3 snapper.
This is a confusing task. When an escargot is ordered, it is put in the oven for 5 to 6 minutes.
Okay, go for it.
We hold the plates underneath so our fingerprints do not show.
Okay, here's 2 snappers.
Alright, good.
I need 3 snappers.
3 snappers total. There's 1 being placed.
So it's 7 o'clock, and as you can see, things are getting busier. Customers are in the restaurant, orders are coming in. You can see behind me the expediter. One student has to manage all the table numbers, all the dishes, all of the orders that are going out to the restaurant. We have a 50-seat restaurant, we serve 3 course meal. That's 150 dishes that student has to monitor in their mind at all times, and they didn't know about that until they came to class. So very stressful, but a great confidence builder that they can do that. When they're listening to the expediter, I need another snapper. We have the snails in the oven, so the escargot are in the oven. Another student is listening to the expediter. I need the escargot. I need it now. Another station over the other side of the kitchen is preparing the salad, and I need a salad. I need one without goat cheese, and they have to monitor all of this. At the same time that you don't see now, the 3 main courses are beginning to come online. The duck is in the oven. It was smoked early this afternoon. We pan-fried it. Now it's in a hot oven cooking, so we will have it rare or medium, depending on what the guest likes. The shrimps with pasta and basil sauce, that's coming along. That's going to be sauteed. And the chicken is also being cooked in the oven. So a lot of things going on here at the moment. Every student fully alert, looking out for one another. We're simulating here a real live experience. This is what you would see in a restaurant in any city in the world, in Boston, downtown Beverly. It's crunch time.
Main course, table 4.
The appetizers start to go out.
Okay.
What table?
There is mass confusion over how many appetizers need to be made, so Professor Cronin steps in to sort out the mess.
We can solve this. What do you want to do?
Like root
Henrik comes in to get a drink. He is so busy that he doesn't realize that his cup missed the trash can.
Do you know?
Steffi tries to tell him, but he is already gone.
And then one tomorrow from 6 to 8, and on Monday the rest 7 to 8.
Ariel starts to delegate main course orders.
Beautiful.
Chicken's coming right now. Chicken right now.
The pasta dishes are cooked to order.
Let's go, yeah.
The students try to make fire, but they still need some practice.
That's beautiful top. See the tongue? Pull it all out of the pot with the tongue. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Kristen.
No, 4.
Tanya patiently waits for the caramel to reach 110 degrees exactly.
You have to add it once it's 115. Once it's at 115.
Even more confusion over the orders has erupted. Professor Corneliusen steps in to help.
So duck seat 1, chicken seat 2, chicken seat 3.
But wait a minute. Okay, 2 of us. I'm going to take the meringue. What we're going to do.
The pastry team torches the tops of the pear dessert. A slight fire breaks out. The team has forgotten to put the pears on a non-flammable surface before they torch them. They move them to a glass plate and continue.
Break every second.
The kitchen is so loud and busy that no one realizes the oven timer is going off, even though there is nothing in the oven. Eventually, Tanya hears it and turns it off. The orders get crossed out as they are brought to the tables. Most of the guests are ready for their desserts.
So here we are, it's 8 o'clock. All the guests have been served. Desserts are currently going out. Some people are already asking for coffee. Some people are getting their bills, their checks, beginning to leave, and we're beginning to wind down. Students are tidying up the kitchen. We're going to have some guests coming into the kitchen. It is a training kitchen, so a lot of guests want to have a sneak peek into the kitchen, something they can't do in a regular restaurant. And we love to see the guests coming in. We love the students to meet the guests and vice versa, get the direct compliments. As we speak, at 8 o'clock, two culinary students are outside in the restaurant, and they'll go around to each table. They'll ask the guests if they enjoy their evening, and they can give them a little bit of feedback on some of the dishes that they cooked, and they're well versed on all the ingredients in each recipe. So it's nice for the customer to see the chef coming out. This is something that's very prevalent in some of the top restaurants in Europe, where the chef goes out and actually meets the customer, and there's an interaction. And we want to try and duplicate that here with the students going out. So, and when those students come back, they then give their feedback to the rest of the class. So it has that, there is much more of a connection when the student gives the feedback from the customer to fellow students, as opposed to just the comment cards.
Their forbidden fruit desserts are ready for the guests.
Here's your plum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That looks good.
We actually both worked on the entrees.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And I did chicken and salad. I just tried those. That's what I remember.
The guest struggles to break through the exterior, but she prevails. It appears that she enjoys her dessert, and she offers her daughter a bite. They seem pleased. The students help Larissa do the last of the dishes. The students gather in the kitchen to settle their checks. Alas, the night is done. Sometimes when the kitchen is chaotic, it is easy to forget why we are here. But at the end of the night, I always remember that the guest satisfaction is the most important thing.